So let's talk about what we shouldn't be eating. Well, you know what foods to put on your shopping list? Now comes the fun part. Clearing out your pantry, fridge and freezer, and maybe even that secret stash if you have one somewhere. This step is so important because even though food is so necessary to give our body the energy we need each day to be performing every function, it then makes sense that using the wrong foods can just as quickly take away these functions, causing illness, pains, fatigue, disease, almost any symptom that you may be experiencing. So before you try any other therapy, you must look at your diet as the quickest way to let your body repair and recover. Now, just as putting diesel into your petrol car would very quickly seize the engine, your body can be the same. Putting a non-fuel food into your body will start to create internal damage on some level. And taking this analogy one step further, the better the fuel you supply your body, the better it will perform. Now, I guarantee that Scott McLaughlin has never run his V8 supercar on 91 unleaded petrol. So you can choose right now, a petrol car running on diesel or a V8 supercar. Let's get started. Just before I jump into the foods that we're going to remove for the rest of November, let's talk about why you are eating them at all right now, when I guarantee that you already know what you shouldn't be eating. The relationship that you have with your food is more important than what you are eating. Not many of us have a great relationship with our food. Food shouldn't be a source of joy for you. Yes, food should taste good and be enjoyable, but not something that you use to fill up your love tank. So if you relate to this, then try and remember when this all started for you. Maybe the only love that you felt as a child was when your grandmother baked you beautiful sugary treats, or maybe it was hard to even get food on the table as a child. Know yourself well enough to be honest with where the emotional connection with food comes from. Emotions shouldn't be linked with food. Food is nourishment. So much of the garbage that we are filling ourselves up with, whether it be junk food, comfort food, alcohol, coffee, cigarettes, drugs, whatever your addiction, we often let these into our bodies to try and bring ourselves some happiness or fulfillment that isn't there. Or on the other hand, we're trying to cover up a trauma, tragedy, fear, worry or stress that we don't want to listen to. So try and analyse why you can't start the day without coffee perhaps, or why you pour that glass of wine or crack that beer as soon as you walk in the door. Or when your body is screaming for chocolate or a Sally Lunn, what is it actually screaming for? Ask it and be honest. Is it the love you never got as a child? Is it a grief that you just don't have time to cry about? Or is it an unhappiness that you don't have the courage to change? Now, another misconception I want to clear early on before we even start talking about eliminating foods is how boring and unexciting it is to take comfort foods from your diet. Now, I often hear it said, and even from my own father, my diet being described as fun-free, flavour-free and sugar-free, which is a pretty typical view of eating well. Now, I can tell you, I get plenty of fun from my amazing husband, my beautiful daughters, my fulfilling work, my love of music, my passion to exercise, my beautiful friends, from the beach. You get my drift. I think that I've already covered that food can't equal fun. But the flavour-free part is fascinating. I enjoy food. I'm not one of these people that can go without food and forget to eat. I enjoy flavour and variety just as much as you. And eating in this way is still full of flavour and variety, I promise. The most amazing thing that you will find after a month without these foods is that your taste buds will come back to life. Not only will you enjoy the things that you didn't enjoy before, but you will be able to taste and decide what it is that your body is craving. Now, if you do struggle with craving the old foods while you're coming off them, think water, protein, fat and fibre. So have a glass of water, because often when we're dehydrated, we think we're hungry. If that doesn't help, then check if you've eaten enough protein, fat or fibre in your day. You'll start to see a pattern emerge and see which food group your body burns through the most. For me, it's fat. I'll mix some avocado and fish together, eat it up, and my cravings will be all gone. Now, if you're a fussy eater or you have kids or husbands who won't eat vegetables perhaps, which we so commonly hear about, don't worry, they will not starve. They may for the first week while their digestion detoxes all of the fermenting, rotting food through their gut, but once they get the destructive food out of their diet, the foods they will start to eat will bring you tears of joy. Trust me, we see it time and time again and it's beautiful. Now, just to reiterate one last time, you must have your whole family or household change their diet, both because you love them to pieces and don't want them to miss out on this life-changing experience, but also because, again, we don't want to exercise that willpower just yet. So, what foods are we going to eliminate? Now, there are just 4: sugar, flours, milks, and processed foods. Now these are the foods that are going to cause this roller coaster of your blood sugars that we want to eliminate. And it's also the foods that are going to feed those bacteria in your gut, the ones that are causing the damage, that are causing you to be fatigued, that are causing your symptoms. So let's get into these food groups, let's talk about them in a bit more detail, and let's talk about why. Right, so the moment that we've been waiting for, what are we going to cut out? So, deep breath, 4 things: sugar, processed food, you knew those were going to be in there, all flours and all milks. So let me go through those one at a time. Starting with sugar, the most important right now in this modern day. So I've managed to clear out my house, my neighbours' houses, and we've got together a few just typical things where sugar is hidden and you might not realise how much is in there. So the average guidelines are from the World Health Organization, or WHO. So this is not, just the natural health world. This is just what the World Health Organization is specifying. That adults should be having a maximum of 6 teaspoons of sugar a day, and children should be having a maximum of about 4 teaspoons of sugar a day. So have a look what I tell you is in each of these to see how much sugar you might be having in a day. So common places we're going to find sugar. Obvious ones are things like your ice cream. So you know that's got sugar in it. 2.5 teaspoons per serving. Not bad. I actually thought it'd be worse. If I haven't convinced you about your soft drinks, this one here, your Indian tonic, has 5 to 6 teaspoons if you down that bottle with your gin. And if you have 1 serving, 1 glass of your Mountain Dew, you're actually getting 8 teaspoons of sugar. So you've already gone over your recommended daily intake. Now this one here is a chocolate baking mix, chocolate cake baking mix. It's actually gluten-free. So you might be mistaken to think, wow, it's gluten-free, it's healthy, I'm going to buy that. That's got half of the entire contents that you're eating is sugar. So depending on how much you eat, you're getting half of that as sugar. Now chocolate, I had 90% chocolate, still has sugar in it, and you've got about 1.5 teaspoons if you eat the whole block. Most sugar will be far higher than that. School lunchbox is really important because your kids can only have 4 teaspoons in an entire day, which they're probably already getting from their fruit and vegetables, remember. If you put one of these in their lunchbox, a little bottle of flavoured yogurt, 5 teaspoons right there. They've gone over their daily intake. Here we've got just a muesli bar. This one's quite a good muesli bar. That's got more than a teaspoon in it. The old Fruze balls, Bliss balls, which were become a really neat fad. They're actually not that great. Each little ball has 2 teaspoons of sugar in it. I was feeding those to my kids until I looked at the back and thought, what am I doing? Up and go. Want to start your day with a bang? 5 teaspoons of sugar. And then if you're putting a little bag of crisps into their lunchbox, also contains sugar in the flavouring. So you need plain chips there. So again, your flavoured chips. Now a lot of people like to go with maple syrup or honey as an alternative to sugar, thinking it's a lot better. Your honey is still going to have a teaspoon in it if you just use a tablespoon of honey. And then 4 tablespoons of maple syrup poured onto something is going to give you 13 teaspoons of sugar. Now that's not pure maple syrup, that's your syrupy syrup. Now other things we love to use are things like your aioli and your tomato sauce. Now they have about a teaspoon each if you just give 1 little squirt. And then of course you've got to look through all your sauces and things, which have got about 2 to 2.5 teaspoons of sugar in them if you use a good dolloping of those. Look through all your drinks that you're doing. We've already told you drink water, but these are your hot chocolates, so those have both got 2.5 teaspoons per serving in them. Breakfast cereals are the worst. Breakfast, you really need to change your habits. Anything that comes in a packet like this is going to have at least a teaspoon of sugar in it. And then once you've combined it with your flavoured yogurts and things, you're going to be way over your daily allowance already. Other things to look through are just like your herbs, spices, your packets that you might be adding into your meals. This one here has got a teaspoon in it, and that's just a tomato and onion sausages mix. So for a nice lazy meal. And this has got a bit of sugar in it too, which is just a Tuscan seasoning. So make sure you look through all of those. Where are you going to be looking? Now, it's not that I want you to look at the number of grams of sugar, because a lot of natural foods do have sugars in them as well. We're not worrying so much about those whole sugars. I want you just to be looking in the ingredients, so where it says ingredients and start listing things down. If it says sugar in there, it's gone. If there's a word in there that ends in ose, like fructose, sucrose, galactose, whatever it might say, that's out too, or anything that's blah 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 blah, syrup. So take those ones out, that's your sugar. Now milks. This might seem a bit less obvious, but any milk is not a whole food. So it's a part of a food that's been taken in isolation. It no longer has the fibre around it. So it's still going to cause those sugar spikes that we don't want. So I'm a bit of a milk collector, I've realised, and I had a million different types of milks to show you. So your normal dairy milk you're familiar with. There's also your coconut milks, your almond milks, your soy milks, your rice milks, oat milks. Even if they're organic, even if they're activated, I don't want you drinking them for November. That's your milks. Now, for your flours. I don't care if it's a gluten-containing flour, I don't care if it's a beautiful, expensive, gluten-free flour, they are going for the same reason. You don't no longer have the outside of the grain on the flour, and so it's been into a processed form, which is going to absorb very quickly into your bloodstream and cause those blood sugar spikes, which we want to take away. So, some examples again, taken on breakfast, Wheat Bix. We don't want Wheat Bix. Crackers, biscuits, cakes, muffins, pastries, your pastas and noodles and those sorts of things, whether they're gluten-free or not, if it's a rice flour, if it's a wheat flour, look in the ingredients and find what ends in flour. If it's in there, we don't want to be eating them. Even your rice crackers. Just pointing that one out. And our last thing is our processed foods. So I know you're expecting this, but you can't go to McDonald's, you can't go to Georgie Pie, you can't go to KFC. But even think of things like the fish and chips. We don't want things to be deep fried. We're trying to take those trans fats out to give your liver a break. Even your Chinese food shops with their deep fried spring rolls and wontons and those sorts of things, take those out. So what do I want you to do now? Please go look through your fridge, your freezer, your pantry, your cupboards. Clear out the things that you don't want. Put them in a big box or a bag, depending on how many you've got. Go and donate them to a neighbour. It's a bit mean, but do. Or go and give them to a charity, a household that really needs those foods. Get them out of the house. We are not trying to challenge your willpower. Tomorrow though, I am going to go through it in a bit more detail, how to prepare yourself so that it's not too overwhelming once you get these foods out of the house. See you then.